Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Laura with Stitching with Laura. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody is having a great Sunday. Well, today someone asked me how I start, how I stop, how I start with a loop, and how I do the sewing method. Now I've got a piece of 14 count Aida here. It's just an off-white color. I'm not sure where I got it. It's just a show and tell. But it is 14 count, and I'm using a dark rose color. It's 356. It's kind of a dark salmon. Okay, in order to start a stitch, when I start with a new piece of thread, I cut it the length that I want it, and I fold it. So this is probably 15-16 inches, and I put the two ends together so that it looks like that. I'm trying to, you see the two ends, and those two ends are what I'm going to thread through the needle. And today I'm using a 28 count. So I thread my two ends. That is, if I could just get the needle to the right end. Okay, so we got both ends right here. I'm trying to get in the light. Okay, so both ends are coming out. And at the bottom, I have a loop. Get it right in the middle, okay? So we're going to go, okay, I don't know how you stitch, but my first leg goes in that direction, just the needle. So I go down in one corner, and I come up through the diagonal end of the, hang on, we're going to get you down there so you can see what's going on. The diagonal part of the Aida square, and I pull it through just a little bit. Now, as you can see, there's the loop. So I put my needle back through, and we made a loop like so. And I'm going to pull it up tight just a little bit. Then I'm going to go, as you can see, there's the edge of the loop. So I want to bypass it and go right back down the one that I started, where I came in and up the first time. So that makes my first leg, and I'll come up to the other corner. Now, to do the sewing method, I go across the one I've already made. I'm going to try to get you in as tight as I can. Whoops. Let's get it right there. It's just being all limpy today. What is the problem? Okay. I just let go of it. Alright, so I'm at the other corner of my first cross stitch. Now I come right straight across to the next hole and pull. So that makes it complete the first stitch right here. Now I'm going to go down diagonally and come across to the other bottom diagonal. So I've made the first leg. Now I'm going to go across to make my second leg. And then I'm going to put my needle in and go across and start at the top of the first leg for the next stitch. Then come down diagonally to make the first leg. And come across to start the second leg. And this way, I just stitch on top of my material. There's no up and down. And you complete each stitch as you go. And this is so much easier to show. I won't show this uneven weave. I'm just using two hands just so you can see what it looks like here. Well, maybe not. This material is just not helping. It's kind of limpy, and of course I got the wrong hoop, but we're good. So I'm going to go down here to show you how I start again. So you just go up at the top of your first leg, down. Now, I found that I can't have my material too terribly tight, especially in a hoop. So just keep it a little loose. I mean, it doesn't have to be super taut. It looks like my lines are crooked, but they're not. I know where I'm at here. I'm just going to skip a thing so you can see. Excuse me. Now, I stitch in this direction, and I know some other people don't. They start their first line going the other way. So let's see if we can go that way. So if you're starting and your first leg is going to be shaped like that, then go over, go diagonal to your first one, and over to the top of your second leg. And then down to complete. Then you would come across the bottom square and up to your top diagonal, and then run your needle over to the other corner. Now I'm going to show you what would happen. Get rid of this, and I'm going to get another piece of thread and show you how you start, or how I start. I don't know that it's right or if it's wrong, but it seems to work for me. So if, let's say you only had to put 3 stitches in, and so now you have a piece that has 2 ends at the bottom, and you've looped your thread. Let me lay it down through the thing, and you have, you've just cut it off, okay? So now I have to put more stitches down over here somewhere, okay? So you would, if it doesn't matter if you're going, your first leg's going this way or your first leg's going this way, but this is the way I stitch. So come back through just like you did with the loop method. and I leave a tail. It doesn't matter. Just, here's your 2 ends down here. Let me back you out just a bit. Okay. So, I've come up diagonally, and I have my loop. This is my cut ends right here. So I'm going to go back, down, and do the same motion, holding the little tail, because sometimes it likes to get away from you. And I'm just going to stitch over that stitch. And come up to my other corner. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. There we go. And then I just take my scissors, drag it that part far, and I just kind of give it a slight tug, just in case anything got moved. And then I just cut it off here. Then I have really pointy scissors, so if you didn't get real close, just tuck it right down, you know, to the bottom side. It'll stay. It's not going anywhere. Then I just start my sewing method. Like so. And that is how I use either the loop method or the cut method to start a stitch. Now when I end, okay, I put the needle straight down. I finished my last X. And I turn this thing upside down. I'm kind of getting it backwards. Okay, now see, you can see my stitches. So I just take my needle and run it through and just till it catches. You don't have to make a fancy knot. If there was more stitching, I would run it through more stitches, but that's all I do. And this one we'll just cut off. We ended that, but I didn't run it through. But that way you're guaranteed that your thread's not going to go anywhere. And I can even cut that closer so there's no really tails on the bottom. And usually I just run it in and out and under stitches, about 3-4 times, because it's cotton. I'm not stitching on anything where it's gonna slide. You might want to do it a little more if it's silk or if it's on a silky type material, and get a fair good knot in it. But that is how I do my sewing method, and I start with the hoop and also start with the cut in. Alright, I will be right back with the rest of today's video because I got some other things to cover on pre-stamped. Be right back. Alright, so I am back, and I have the Aurora Borealis by Maydeer, and we are working over here in this corner, but I wanted to show, I had somebody else ask about this, so we're going to go over this while I do this one. So they asked me if you had a number here, what do you do? Now you can tell number 4. If you go to your key on the bottom, there is the green, and that is the green symbol. So we know that wherever there is green here is the number 4 thread. So when you're stitching this, you would stitch all of the green, including over this number. You just stitch right over it because you know that this whole section is going to be green. Now, in the beginning, what I used to do is I knew that that was number 4. And just for reference point, I would stitch everything up and around it because some days my brain is kind of lame. So I would forget that that's what that was, you know, and then I'd have to go look on my chart and all that. But I know that that number 4 is there. So I would stitch everything but over the 4 until the end. And then I would just stitch it in because I knew that whole section was that same color. Does that make any kind of sense? Now, another thing, all these lines that are your grids, they correspond. When you get one of these, it comes with a very nice booklet, and some of them will even break, most of them that I've seen, you know, that are fair size. This one is 258 by 194, has it all gridded down into sections. So, page 1, is that center. So if it was gridded, that would be the first section right there. So page 1 starts, and I don't know if you can see this, there's a grid for 10 across and the 10 down, and all your grids are right here. Now on here, it's numbered the grid all the way across this side, all across the top, and all the way down the side. So when you are looking for a certain section, so let's say we're looking for the 350 section, we would just go, because see, each page, it says your grid it says the grid at the top, just like here. So you would look for the grid, if I can just find it. Okay, so this one has, trying not to show the whole pattern. Dang it, get there. All right, so here's 350. So this means that this, you realize that there's 10 extra on this side, so it's actually 300, if you will, coming across here. But this is 350 and this is 350, so you can kind of lay it side by side and go, okay, now this is one. Now yesterday I showed you one that everything matched. This does not match. So this number 4, I don't know how to say that. Let me look. It might be. Number 4 is 338. Or it must be 336. Yeah, it's just real close. But you can see it right here by my finger. So this does match. So, but you have a different symbol. So it's number 4 is the symbol. This is the symbol. See, it says symbol. This says the number of the thread. And this is the DMC color going down. So you want to look for the symbol number 4 so that it'll correspond with this corner. So they're not the same. Does that make sense? The one I had yesterday, the symbols on the chart were the same as the symbol here. So it would have been green and it would have been real easy to find. But this is one of the older kits and I don't know that they are or aren't making them the same way. But I found that out yesterday. So you would look for your 250, which is right here at the top of this page, and you know that that one little symbol right there is that. So this is the symbol, number 4, and its number 4 is going to be the number of the thread, and they're all in a line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 40 colors in this, so they're all That's the number of the thread. But this is the number of your symbol to match the thread, which is 336 blue. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And let's say we're stitching along. This is kind of a good example, but not my best. Okay, so I know that those are going to be French knots. And on, where is that? I just had that page. Because I know that in this, it'll tell you, there is a key. I'm going to get it down here. On your key, it'll say, I can't tell if I'm in frame or not here. Okay, full stitch. This is all your full stitch numbers. Then here, it'll have French knots and back stitch. And it'll show you the number of thread you're supposed to use, what color it is going to be in DMC, and it'll have a long dash line. So, and it'll also, it does this on your canvas as well. You pull it up. So right here, where the dash lines are your back stitch, and it says back stitch. This is your French knot. So there's those French knots. And it's 5,200. And then the rest of the key, it'll say full stitch. So it'll come all the way down, all the way around, and it goes the full length of the bottom. And if there's extra colors, it would just extend this over to show you this is your full stitch. These are your full stitch symbols. This is your French knot, and there's some up here in the sky, and then there's your back stitch. And on the pattern, it'll show you in colors. These are all back stitches. All these long lines are your back stitch. So just stitch the color first. You know, the cross stitches is what I meant. Now, where was I going with all that? So, let's say you get all this stitched. And you know, all the green stitched, and now you have a new symbol. So you're going to have to go and look on your thing, and it looks like it's a blue circle. So we find the blue circle, which is right here, and you tie off your thread, and then you look for the next symbol, because we're going to make this whole thing flush, you know, with color. Now you could start with that symbol, get all that done, then do all the blue symbol, and then the green, and then the little French knots. I would wait and do the French knots in the total end, because, yeah. And I've decided on this one, I'm going to use crystal beads there. So, but anyway, you would go and get your next symbol, cutting off your thread from your green. Go get the next color, which is number 16. I had to look at it. It was upside down. And just start in doing your cross stitch for all the blue. And I usually take out one full thread at a time. I mean, you know, one set of 6 at a time. And I do, where I was going with that, I'm sorry, is all the blue symbols that are within, you know, this area, and use up all my thread, and that way I don't have to tie on the excess thread to your, hang on, I dropped it, sorry, reaching, oh gosh, sorry, my bad, we're just running into everything. So when I finish, let me shake it a little bit. So So I won't have to, okay, I used this purple, but I only needed it in a small area. Now, if I need it in a real small area and I'm only going to do 10 stitches, I will take like half of that. Just take a half leg off and do it. Because I know I'm going to use that thread up in that area. Does that make sense? And the other way, I don't tie it back on to these, because it just gets into a knot of mess. Now, if you really wanted to, you could take each one of these colors and wrap them on cards or whatever. I've done that, but I just want to stitch. I don't want to have to mess. And this keeps, I take it when I'm done getting the color I need. I give it a twist. Oh, fall down, please. Give it a twist, and then I just fold it inside of itself. Just like that. And it keeps all the thread, and then if there's more than one card, and just put it in there. And it doesn't get messed up with anything else. It's cotton. It kind of mushes together. So, yeah. Now, another thing about pre-stamped cross stitch. Don't ever drink around it. Don't get near water with it, because as soon as you wet this whole pattern is, in wherever you get the water, it'll just disappear. Because after you've gotten all your stitching done, and some people wait to do the back stitching after they've washed it. Fine. It doesn't matter. You do it before or after. The preference is totally up to you. But after you've gotten all your stitching everywhere done, then you stick this in warm water for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it takes. And all the lines that are the grid lines, all the lines underneath, all your stitching, that had all the colors, it's all going to go away. So this, when you're done washing it, it'll be a totally white canvas except for where you put your stitches. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So that is all I've got to say today. But I just wanted to go over a few things, because I've gotten people that have just started or haven't stitched in a while, or are just doing a brand new pre-stamped. I want them to know this is what you do. Now this is an 11 count. I do not know how to do the loop method using 3 strands. I have not mastered that. So I'm sure if you went on YouTube, you could find a tutorial on that. Whoops, sorry. Trying to get a little lighter. And they would show you. Now, I do know that some people have. Now, I can use the loop method. Let me go back just a bit. On the 14 count, because I used 2 strands there. And you can use that same, starting with the cut end, just like that. It works beautifully, but it works beautifully with 2 strands. For me, I have not mastered now the 3. I have seen where people come up and they leave a tail and then they just stitch over, that tail to make it tight, and they'll just go through the material twice, just so it kind of catches, and then go on stitching and cover up their tails. They can do that on the front and the back. I've never done it that way. Frankly, on pre-stamp, now this is a bad example, but I usually just put a knot at the end of my thread and just go, because all I want to do is stitch, period. I don't want to mess with doing anything, but I use that loop and cut method mostly for counted. I have used it on this, if I got not in a hurry, but otherwise I'll just put a knot at the end of my thread and just go. So I hope that helps, explain a few things. So today's just going to be a tutorial on how to start, how to use the loop and the cut method for starting your threads, and a little bit of pre-stamped, and you just go from one thread to the other. I mean, because your threads are very long in this. This is an example of a thread, and as you can see, it's probably, let's see, it's almost 3 feet long. And if it's too long for you, just cut it if you'd like. But it doesn't bother me here, but I have cut it in half already. And so it was fairly good size length. So I hope that helps, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Don't forget to buy me coffee. And we will see you next time. Stay safe. Stay healthy. God bless. Bye-bye.